$1. Not a down payment, not a deposit, not a negotiation tactic. The entire house, deed, keys, address, yours for literally one single dollar. And before you roll your eyes and think, okay, it's probably a condemned shack in the middle of nowhere, hold on. Because some of these towns are real cities. Some have universities, hospitals, waterfront access. Some are 30 minutes from a major metro. And some of them are in the middle of one of the most legitimate real estate comebacks in modern American history. But here's what nobody talks about up front. There's always a catch. Sometimes it's a $60,000 renovation. Sometimes the catch is a city that lost half its population when the steel mill closed in 1983 and never really came back. And sometimes the catch is that the town is actually incredible, and they're just desperate for people willing to show up. Today, we're counting down 15 U.S. towns that have sold or are actively selling homes for $1. By the time we hit number 1, you're either going to be Googling moving trucks or texting your landlord a very grateful thank you message. Welcome to Life of the States. Let's get into it. Drop a subscribe reminder graphic here. New episodes every day. Number 15, Macon, Georgia. Macon doesn't get the headlines. Atlanta gets Atlanta. Savannah gets the tourists. Macon gets quietly overlooked. And that's honestly a shame because this city is sitting on bones that most places would kill for. Macon launched a dollar home program targeting blighted and abandoned properties in its historic neighborhoods. The deal is exactly what it sounds like. $1, a commitment to renovate within a set timeline, and a requirement to actually live there for a minimum period. If you bail on the renovation, the city takes it back. Simple, binding, real. The numbers: median home price around $112,000. Cost of living sits 18% below the national average. Violent crime is higher than average, so neighborhood research is non-negotiable before you sign anything. But the city itself? Victorian architecture that belonged in a magazine shoot. A music legacy that gave the world Otis Redding and the Allman Brothers. And a downtown that's quietly, genuinely starting to come back. The catch isn't the price tag. The catch is patience. These homes need real work. New wiring, plumbing overhauls, the whole thing. But for someone handy or someone with a reliable contractor, this is generational wealth at the price of a pack of gum. Number 14, Baltimore, Maryland. Yes, Baltimore. One of the most recognizable cities in America, ran one of the most famous dollar home programs in the country. The original program launched in the 1970s, but variations of it have popped up repeatedly ever since because the problem never fully went away. Too many vacant row houses, not enough buyers. Here's the reality check on Baltimore. Crime is real and renovation costs can be brutal. Some of these row houses need $80,000 to $150,000 worth of work before you'd want to live in them. That's not pocket change, but a fully renovated row house in a decent Baltimore neighborhood worth $280,000 to $400,000. You're essentially getting paid to renovate. The neighborhoods to watch: Harlem Park, Barclay, Pigtown. Not glamorous names, but early buyers in those areas have watched their properties triple in value as the city slowly, imperfectly, turns things around. Baltimore has world-class hospitals, top universities, an inner harbor that still draws millions of tourists a year. The infrastructure is there. The price was $1. One homeowner documented her $1 row house renovation on TikTok for 2 full years. Her final equity? Over $200,000. The comments section had 47,000 people asking why they'd never heard about this. Number 13, Clairton, Pennsylvania. Clairton is a Rust Belt story told in slow motion. Located along the Monongahela River, just south of Pittsburgh, this city once held 20,000 people. Today it's closer to 6,000. And yes, homes have been available here for $1. The hard stats: poverty rate over 35%. Median home price around $35,000, even without a dollar program. Air quality has historically been poor because of the coke plant that's still running nearby. But here's the other side of that picture. You're 30 minutes from Pittsburgh. Property taxes are low. And the riverfront location here is the kind of thing that, in a different zip code, would have kayak rental shops and waterfront restaurants charging $40 for pasta. Clairton is not for everyone. It's a town that needs people willing to believe in it before it gives them anything back. But for the remote worker who wants space, low cost of living, and a genuine fixer-upper culture, your dollar stretches further here than almost anywhere on this list. Number 12, Niagara Falls, New York. This one legitimately surprises people. Niagara Falls. Yes, the waterfall, the honeymoon capital, one of the natural wonders of the world, has had homes available for $1. Because the city on the American side is not the postcard. The American side of Niagara Falls is one of the most economically distressed cities in New York State. Poverty rate over 30%. Median household income under $32,000. Crime rate significantly above the national average. Median home price around $72,000 for normal inventory. And dollar homes exist because the city has hundreds of abandoned, tax-delinquent properties it literally cannot maintain. But here's the twist that nobody puts in the travel brochure. From some of these neighborhoods, you can literally see one of the greatest natural wonders on Earth. The tourism infrastructure is right there. The Canadian side is thriving. And with remote work, the idea of living 5 minutes from Niagara Falls for essentially nothing isn't crazy. It's honestly kind of genius. Number 11, Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana. Population roughly 69,000, down from 178,000 at its 1960 peak. Abandoned buildings on almost every block. Crime rates that make national headlines. And homes available for $1 through various land bank and low-cost property programs. Because the city simply cannot handle the inventory of vacant structures it's inherited. The hard data. Violent crime rate nearly 4 times the national average. Poverty rate over 36%. These are real numbers, and they shouldn't be minimized. But Gary sits on Lake Michigan with actual beachfront access. It's 30 minutes from downtown Chicago. Property taxes are low, and a real, if small, wave of investors and artists has started to bet on it. Here's what nobody tells you about Gary. The architecture is haunting in the most beautiful way. Abandoned churches, old movie theaters, Victorian homes that once belonged to steel executives. The bones of this city are extraordinary. The question, and it's a real question, is whether enough people with vision show up before the structures collapse entirely. Number 10, Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown is one of the most studied examples of urban decline in American academic literature, which actually sounds more depressing than it is, because lately those same academics have started studying its revival. The city peaked at 170,000 people in the 1930s. Today it's under 60,000. Steel mills gone. Population gutted. Dollar homes available through land bank programs for years. The numbers now. Median home price around $42,000. Cost of living 30% below the national average. Crime rate is high. Neighborhood research matters here. But Youngstown State University is here. A growing healthcare sector. And a city government that has genuinely won national awards for its approach to shrinking smart, acknowledging the reality of population loss and building around it instead of pretending 1955 is coming back. The Youngstown play for the right person is almost elegant. Buy cheap, renovate, rent it out, live off the cash flow while you work remotely. The math works in a way it almost never does in this country. Number 9, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit gets its own entry because it deserves one. Detroit's Land Bank Authority has auctioned properties for as low as $1,000. Some have gone lower. And the city has over 60,000 vacant structures. That's not a typo. 60,000 empty buildings in a single American city. But here's the real Detroit story in 2025. The downtown and midtown are genuinely, measurably reviving. Bedrock Detroit has poured billions into development. Tech companies moved in. Whole neighborhoods, Corktown, New Center, North End, are seeing real, sustained growth. Median home price has climbed to around $66,000. But in the outer neighborhoods, still dollar territory. The key with Detroit is the zip code. Wildly different realities exist within the same city limits. Buy on the wrong block, and you're staring at abandonment indefinitely. Buy on the right one, and you could be watching your equity double in 5 years as the revival slowly radiates outward. Detroit's comeback is real. It's just uneven. And the people catching it early are the ones who paid almost nothing to get in. Number 8, Pikeville, Kentucky. Pikeville is tucked into the mountains of eastern Kentucky, and it's been quietly running some of the most aggressive, affordable housing programs in Appalachia. Not strictly a formal dollar home program, but properties here have moved through county land sales for as low as $100, sometimes less. What you're working with? Population just under 7,000. Median home price around $95,000, which is genuinely reasonable for a town that has a hospital, a university, and an actual functioning downtown. Cost of living roughly 25% below the national average. The catch is real. It's remote. The mountains are gorgeous, but they also mean a limited job market and limited access to just about everything urban. But here's the Pikeville pitch for the right person. You work remotely. You live in a mountain town with a real, tight-knit community. You own your home outright. You spend your weekends on hiking trails that would cost you $500 in entrance fees in Colorado. Eastern Kentucky gets written off because of its economic history, but the landscape, the culture, and the housing economics here are genuinely compelling if you can live without a Whole Foods nearby. Number 7, Dayton, Ohio. Dayton doesn't get enough credit. It's been running one of the most organized land bank programs in the Midwest, with vacant properties regularly selling for under $500 and some going for $1 through neighborhood stabilization initiatives. Over 5,000 vacant structures, and the city has been actively trying to find buyers for years. Real data: median home price around $90,000. Cost of living 22% below national average. Crime rate is above average but varies significantly by neighborhood. Job market includes a major VA hospital, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and a tech startup corridor that gets almost zero national press outside Ohio. What separates Dayton from the harder luck cities on this list is that the city actually functions. Roads get plowed. Services work. There's a world-class art museum. Real neighborhoods that never fully collapsed. Dayton's dollar homes aren't really a gamble. They're a genuine deal for anyone willing to put in the renovation work. Number 6, Svea, Minnesota. Now we're in a different category entirely. Svea, Minnesota. Population, around 70 people. You read that right. This tiny farming town made national news when it started offering free lots and near-free homes, $1 to $5,000 range, to attract new residents. It's one of dozens of small Midwest towns using rock-bottom housing as essentially a survival strategy to stop the population bleeding that's been killing rural America for 50 years. The community is tight. Real. The kind of place where people still bring food when a neighbor has a baby or loses someone. The kind of place that's basically stopped existing in most of urban America. The catch is equally real. You're in rural Minnesota. Closest city is 45 minutes away. Winter will test every assumption you've ever had about yourself. The job market is agriculture and whatever you bring with you. But the Svea model is being replicated across Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, the Dakotas. Rural America is running a fire sale on the American dream right now, because without new residents, these towns will literally cease to exist within a generation. If you work remotely and you've ever romanticized actual open space and actual community, this category of opportunity might be the most underrated housing deal in the country. Number 5, Buffalo, New York. Buffalo is the sleeper pick on this entire list. The city ran dollar home programs in its most distressed neighborhoods for years, and while the formal programs have evolved, land bank properties here still sell for next to nothing regularly. And here's the thing about Buffalo that most of the country just hasn't caught on to yet. This city is coming back, and coming back hard. The numbers: median home price around $175,000 and rising fast. Cost of living still below national average. Crime varies significantly by neighborhood, but the city has been aggressively revitalizing Elmwood Village, Allentown, and Black Rock. New restaurants, breweries, tech companies, and a major medical corridor anchored by the University of Buffalo. People who bought dollar homes in neighborhoods that are now hot were sitting on $200,000 in equity 10 years later. The city gets 90-plus inches of snow per year, which has honestly kept the secret safe for a while. But the word is getting out. If you're looking at dollar range properties in Buffalo right now, you're one of the last waves who will be able to do so before prices reflect what this city is actually becoming. This is not a permanent window. Number 4, Pontiac, Michigan. Pontiac sits 30 miles north of Detroit, and it's living through its own version of the Motor City story. Population dropped from 85,000 in the 1970s to around 59,000 today. Thousands of vacant properties. A land bank that regularly sells homes for almost nothing. And a location 30 minutes from everything Detroit has been rebuilding. Hard stats: median home price around $80,000, with some properties significantly lower through land bank programs. Violent crime above average. Poverty rate around 33%. But here's the Pontiac calculus. It sits in Oakland County, one of the wealthiest counties in the entire state of Michigan. The gap between Pontiac and its immediate neighbors is stark. And for a buyer, that gap is potentially exploitable in the best possible way. If Detroit's revival keeps radiating outward, and there's real, documented reason to think it will, Pontiac is directly in the path. The risk is that it doesn't, and you're holding a cheap property in a struggling city with no upside. But at dollar range prices with renovation investment, the math isn't obviously wrong. Number 3. Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, Braddock, Aliquippa, McKeesport, Duquesne. This entry covers a cluster, not a single town, because the story is the same across Braddock, Aliquippa, McKeesport, and Duquesne. These are former steel towns along the rivers outside Pittsburgh that collectively represent one of the highest concentrations of near-free housing in the entire country. Braddock specifically, population around 1,600, down from 20,000. Median home price somewhere around $20,000. Some properties have sold for $1 through the county land bank. But here's what makes Braddock different from everything else on this list. It has a story, a real one. A mayor who tattooed the town's zip code on his arm and built a YMCA, a free health clinic, and a community farm on the actual ruins of the steel industry. Artists, urban farmers, and remote workers have been moving here intentionally. Not because it's easy, but because the energy here is different from a town that simply gave up. The infrastructure is still rough. It's still hard. But if you had to bet one town on this entire list to be unrecognizable in the best possible way, 20 years from now, Braddock would be on the short list. It has the bones, the narrative, the people, and the location just outside Pittsburgh. It has everything except money. And some of us have a little of that to spare. Number 2, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa doesn't have dollar homes. Tulsa has something wilder. They will literally pay you to move there. The Tulsa Remote Program offers $10,000 cash plus free co-working space to remote workers who relocate to the city. It's been running since 2018 and has paid out millions in grants. The city calculates that every remote worker who moves there generates significant economic impact. So in their view, the $10,000 is an investment, not a giveaway. But the reason Tulsa makes this list is what happened when those remote workers arrived. They found a city with median home prices around $175,000. Genuinely nice neighborhoods, a thriving art scene, a quality of life that had absolutely no business being this affordable. You're not getting a dollar house in Tulsa, but you're getting $10,000 in your pocket toward a home in a city where a 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood runs $220,000. The Brady Arts District went from struggling to genuinely buzzing within 5 years of the program launching. Tulsa is the model. The lesson for every other city on this list. Houses are cheap everywhere. People are the actual asset. Get the people, the investment follows. Number 1, New Haven, Connecticut. Wait, Yale University's backyard? New Haven? Yes. New Haven ran a dollar home program starting in the 1990s that became one of the most successful urban revival stories in modern American history. And almost nobody outside Connecticut knows about it. The city had hundreds of vacant, tax-delinquent properties it couldn't maintain or sell. Rather than let them deteriorate or demolish them at taxpayer expense, New Haven started selling them for $1 to buyers who committed to a full renovation and a 5-year residency minimum. Show up, fix it, stay. That was the contract. The result, entire neighborhoods that were functionally abandoned in 1993 are now among the most desirable residential areas in the city. Property values in dollar home neighborhoods increased 300% to 500% over 20 years. Crime dropped dramatically as occupied homes replaced vacant ones. Tax revenue increased. Population stabilized. The people who bought in at $1, the ones who gritted through the hard renovation years and the uncertainty, are sitting on some of the best real estate returns in all of New England. New Haven's program worked for one reason that applies to every single town on this list. Commitment. The city committed to the buyers. The buyers committed to the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods committed to the city. The dollar was symbolic. The real contract was harder and more important. Show up and stay. Here's the thing about dollar homes that nobody tells you up front. The dollar isn't the price. The dollar is the invitation. The real price is renovation, often $30,000 to $100,000 depending on the property and what shape it's in. The real price is living in a neighborhood that needs you before it can give anything back. The real price is patience, actual years of it. And the real price is the decision to stay committed to a place when everything in you is saying it might be easier to just walk away. But here's what the people who made it through will tell you. There is no other path in this country to generational wealth. without inheriting it and without making six figures, that is this accessible. $1. Some sweat, some years, and the willingness to bet on a town the rest of the world already gave up on. So the real question isn't whether you can afford a dollar home. You clearly can. The real question is whether you're the kind of person who shows up for something before it's worth showing up for. If the answer is yes, these towns are waiting. Drop a comment below. Which of these 15 would you actually consider? Be specific. I'll read every single one. And subscribe, because the next video covers towns that will actually pay your moving costs. Not a dollar. Not just free housing. They'll write you a check to relocate. That list drops date.